We will be looking at finding slope from a graph in this lesson. So here's our first problem, and I want you to remember, or pay attention to, I guess, which direction the line tilts. Because this is moving down as the line moves to the right, so as the line moves to the right, the line is going down. I know automatically that this line right here has a negative slope, okay? I know for sure it has a negative slope. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. What I would suggest doing is finding 2 points where the line goes through a perfect corner. So one point would be right there, and you might not choose that one, that is totally fine, but I'll show you a couple different ways to do that. One thing you can do is find a coordinate for that point. So that point is the coordinate -3, 1. And then if I find another point where the line goes through a perfect corner, for instance right here, this is the point 0, -1. So one thing you could do, and this is actually the longer way, but you could do your change in y's and go 1 minus -1. Remember, your vertical change has to go on top. And since you started with 1 on the top, then you have to start with -3 on the bottom. And then I would go boom, boom, and I would get 2 over -3, which we know is -2/3. So that's one way to do this. The other way to do this is to just count however many boxes you're going, okay? So to get from the left point to the right point, and I like to go left to right just because that's how you read, so be really careful to get from left to right as I move across this graph. Remember that slope is your rise over your run. So your vertical change has to go on top. So you first of all want to look at how do you move up or down to get to the next point. So if I'm at this point right here, I have to go down 2, and because I went down, it's negative. And then I went to the right 3. And because I went to the right, it's positive. Okay? If you did it the other way around, the other thing you could do is to get from this point to this point, if I started here, I would go up 2, since that's positive, and left 3, so that would make that negative. And either way, I'm going to get a slope of -2/3. Okay? So lots of different ways to do that. Here's another one. I know for sure that this line has positive slope because it moves up to the right, as we work along this line. Again, pick 2 points where you know both coordinates. So I'll start right there and right here. Okay, I know both of those coordinates. And actually, you know what? Some of you maybe picked that one. I'm going to pick a different one. I'm going to pick this one just so I can show you something that happens. Okay? So to get from one point to the other, let's say I start right here. Again, I always want you to give me the up-down change on top. Okay? So to get from this point to the next one, I would have to go up 2, since I went up, that's positive, and to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And because I moved to the right, that's positive. So my slope would be 2/4, but of course I want you to reduce that and make that be 1/2. Okay? If you had chosen to go the other way, you would have gone down 2, so that would be -2, and to the left 4, that would be -4. Negative divided by negative would become a positive, and it would still reduce to 1/2. All right, this also has positive slope, so I am going to pick this point and this point. Okay. This line, of course, is steeper, so I would expect my slope to be closer to, or to be a bigger number. Okay. So to get from one point to the other, again, vertical change has to go on top. So I'm going to look at how much I change vertically first. So I would go up 3 and right 1. So since up is positive and right is positive, I would have +3 over +1, which is 3. And then lastly, this has negative slope as well. Find 2 points where you know they go through. So let's say this one right here and this one right here. And I would go down 1, 2, 3. So because I went down, it's negative. And to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. -3/4.